Hello, my beautiful souls, and welcome. So, here you are. I've been kind of missing you. This is for the part of the collective that really knows their Bible. It's kind of funny because, my journey here on YouTube and with this collective hasn't been that long, and it's still growing, sometimes faster, sometimes slower, sometimes it feels like it's not growing at all. That's all part of the process. But yeah, it's kind of funny because I'm recognizing that this collective, it seems to be, on the one hand, very interconnected. I receive it as a network. I receive most things, or actually like anything, as a network. But with this collective, this really, really stands out to me that it's very much also perceived as a network, at least by me. And this is just something that's standing out somehow. And it very well could be that you are maybe also very drawn to things that are network related. Like, maybe new technologies that evolve around networks, like blockchain technology, for example. What also comes to mind, that's interesting, that's the first one. I haven't picked up on that one before, but maybe someone is like a coach or a counselor of some sorts, who's interested in systemic approaches, like from psychology. And also about, like, I get something about physics and technology that really draw heavy on network effects. Also economics. Now I get politics. This can go in like all kinds of directions, but it seems like that you might be fascinated or interested or drawn to the idea about networks or how systems work and how the network effect is actually working through systems. So this is something that is, I think, generally true for like the whole collective I'm channeling for. But then there are also like those different I like to call them flavors. And I can see that like it seems like it's not really related. But at the same time, I also do see, like I said, this network. So the things are actually related. And even if it's just through like the underlying pains or topics, issues that are present, and it's just expressing itself in different ways. So the part of the collective this message is for is a very particular kind of flavor within this collective that is very much, I don't know if you're drawn to the religious thing, I get ancient texts. That's an interesting word. Do you know that? Like when you know a word and then you say it and then you suddenly feel like this is weird. And then you just like keep on saying it and then it just loses its meaning. Oh, and this brings us right into the message. Welcome to the Tower of Babel. Okay, so is this telling us that we should talk about that? But I really would like to finish my intro here. Go ahead, they say, finish it. And stop confusing me. Yeah, all right. So okay. This is about, like I said, a stream of the collective that is, you maybe are drawn to. I always want to say Christianity, but to be honest, up until now, those have all been texts and references to the Old Testament. So, and at one point there was also something about like Jewish traditions coming through. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like only Christian. So there's just something about like having roots in some kind of, yeah, somewhere with the Bible. Like, you just know if this is for you. The other thing I find interesting that you are the only part of this collective where I sometimes don't show my face, where I just have like only a cover for like with some written text on it, or like this one, like where you just see a picture. And those are things, I'm being called to what I'm doing in a video. Like if I show a picture, if I just record only the audio and then just have the thumbnail, or if I'm there with like all of my presence and my face and maybe some tarot cards or whatever. So this is interesting. What I also noticed with this collective is that they were working through some like really heavy emotional stuff, but very much related to the voice, very much to self-expression. And I had a few videos, they were quite at the beginning, where it was so hard to get through the messages. And I am still picking up a little bit on that kind of energy. Like I said, it's with you guys, it's always a little bit hard to make a point, to like get to the heart of things. And I know this, this is always present, like in all my messages, but in some more than others. And in this one, like those that are evolved around those Bible stories, it's a little bit more present, even more present than with the others. And so there's again like this confusion aspect. And I wanted to also talk a little bit about like what happened right before I started recording this message, because I feel like that this is also maybe relevant to you, maybe also the experience. I feel like this might help you maybe find yourself in this message, also like to see if this is for you. Because what was interesting about my day today, it's a Sunday, as of I'm recording this. And it's an election day today. Like in my city, we had some elections. And I woke up this morning and pretty early actually, and I felt called to immediately get up, and I checked when like from what time it would be possible to go vote. And so I just got up, I went out, and I went straight to the place where I could go vote. And afterwards I pretty much went straight back home. I had breakfast, and afterwards I got some like downloads started to happen, psychic downloads. Like I got some informations, and then I suddenly was like so tired, completely knocked out. even went back to bed and had to take a nap, which sometimes happens when I'm receiving a lot of information. It's just like a way of like my body integrating it. So I was completely taken out for a while. I spent a few hours just like sleeping, writing down things that I got, watching a few videos, receiving a few more downloads. This is just like a whole process I have that sometimes happens. And then I got up and like I received the message for you. And then I suddenly got the urge to record it. So what this is telling me is that because I said like I kind of missed you, you've not been present. Like you've been you went, I don't know, undercover or something. And there were some really, really heavy downloads coming through a while ago for you, for this part of the collective. And then you suddenly went radio silent and then you suddenly popped up again. So here you are again. This tells me that you probably underwent a process. And by the way, it doesn't matter when you get this message. This is timeless. So whenever it reaches you, it doesn't really, it doesn't have to like be now as of me recording this. This is just like kind of showing me what kind of process you went through lately. And there's also something, and I've realized that with like all my messages, that I'm sharing a lot around the process of how I receive information and how like the whole channeling process, like my process works. Like how do I get information? How does this actually look like in my everyday life? How do I receive? How do I process? How do I make meaning of things? So this is also like all, if you're wondering like, why is she talking so much about all this stuff? It's all related to the message, I promise. Because there's something within this collective about you are asked to learn to read the cycles and to read all of like what's happening in your life, what's happening in your surroundings, and what the universe is trying to tell you. You are asked to really like observe your process, observe your, like I said, the cycles you move through. And so there's like this, now there's some advice coming through about maybe keeping a journal, just like journaling every day, any kind of synchronistic events you observe, like the ups and downs of how you're feeling, maybe, the kind of thoughts you get, insights, downloads, whatever you receive, just journal about it. Everything that feels somehow of meaning to you, sometimes maybe even what's not at first glance meaningful, but I hear especially what doesn't seem meaningful to you, but it could hold meaning and you're overlooking it. So, okay, you're actually being asked to just maybe try it for a week or so, to really try to write down as much as possible while you're going through your day. Just journal about your day. And then after the week, maybe just like go back and look at your notes and see how maybe like things you wrote down things you like, encounters, people you met, videos you've watched, like the topics that popped up in your feed, in, I don't know, the book you're reading or the podcast you've been listening to, a conversation with a friend, whatever. And just like try to see if there are any interconnections between those things. And I'm getting again something about like the network. Try to start to view all the information that you're getting through your day, that this is like actually an interconnected network. And there was something interesting happening just now. Outside of my window, I saw like there was a raven flying by. Crow. Not a raven. Crow. Crow. A crow flying by, and at first glance, it looked as if the crow was flying in my direction. But then I realized, no, it's actually flying in the opposite direction. It was a really weird illusion. So this thing that you're doing, like with writing down things, helps you to get a better grasp on what the life that you're living, like all the illusions that are happening. I hear looking through the illusion, looking beyond the illusion, realizing that everything is connected, realizing all the synchronicities, all the weird little quote-unquote coincidences, or maybe like patterns that are emerging and you will only recognize by writing them down. All of this helps you perceive the quote-unquote reality as the illusion that it is. And this is interesting. I wanted to say Spirit is saying, but then I kind of didn't say it. And then I was wondering what I should call it. Like, who's even talking here? Like, who am I even tapping into? Like, I mean, I've been tapping into the collective, of course. But usually there's also some kind of guidance there. And it seems cloaked. So you're not all too sure about, like, okay, you do see those things. You do see, like, I hear it's dawning on you, like the whole illusion thing. You probably went through a few major awakenings and had quite a few tower moments that kind of broke down like old belief systems, all those ideas you had about reality. And yeah, here again, like you're starting to see through the illusion. But there's kind of, I hear like there's a void, like a vacuum. There's an empty space that needs to be filled, and you don't really know with what you can fill. Like, it feels like maybe there used to be a god, like the Christian or Jewish god, like some kind of religious structure that gave you a certain paradigm to work in. Doesn't have to be, but this is what's coming through pretty loud. You take it as it resonates for you, or like adapt it to your situation. Whatever kind of paradigm worked for you, it broke away. okay, so I hear like you're confused about what. Okay, so you know that it's not about worship anymore. It's not about like, the question is not what God can I worship now. The question is, who do I turn to when I'm in need for help? When I'm in need of guidance? And this thing about like this, because I can feel there's guidance here, but like I said, it's cloaked. They're not making themselves known to me. I can feel that there's some kind of guidance here, and then they are guiding me through the message. They're showing me what to speak about, but there's like, they are not making themselves known. And I am not the one to tell you. Like, I'm not the one who is supposed to tell you who that is or what that is. This is for you to find out for yourself. So now they are bringing me back to this thing about the language of the universe. And I'm not even sure if I said that before, but like this whole illusion thing, this whole thing about writing down what you perceive, what you experience, this is like the reality that we experience every day. We know that this is an illusion. And we know that there's something far greater, deeper beyond that. But we also know that this illusion is here to be interacted with. We are here for a reason, right? Like, we are in this human experience for a reason. This life is meant to be lived. So it's not enough. Okay, I hear it's not enough to simply understand that this is an illusion and then to kind of opt out of life. This is not what all of this is about. We are meant to live this life, but we are meant to live this life as a conscious experience, which means you are meant to realize, yes, this is an illusion. This is a dream I am actively dreaming. But at the same time, I am to experience this illusion, this dream. So I am to not opt out of it, not to, I hear, hover above everything, but I'm meant to be like firmly on the ground with both feet, standing on the ground firmly and living this life actively, creating it consciously. In order to do that, you have to understand the illusion, and you have to understand that the universe, I'm calling it that. You can call it whatever you want to call it. I'm calling it the universe. Some might call it God or source or whatever. Okay, I hear the matrix, but I also want it, like, I also feel they want me to say that this is not, like, the matrix is just part of the bigger thing. When I talk about source, when I talk about universe, I mean the all of everything, not just the matrix. The matrix is a projection. It's part of it. So yes, there is this bigger part. There's like the all of everything is communicating with you in every moment, all the time. And this communication can be experienced through the matrix. So it's not actually the matrix communicating with you, but it is the all of everything that is communicating with you. The way this is made possible is through the network we were talking about at the beginning. But I'm also told not to talk about this further. Maybe, possibly, we will touch on this in future videos, but right now I'm told this is all you need to know. Like, this is all, like, the way this communication is working is through the network. And the network is working, like the input that is given into the network is working, is coming from a source that is operating at a very different frequency, and it's a very different frequency as like what we of humans are operating at, which is why it is hard for us to receive the information that is brought into the network while we are operating at certain lower frequencies. This is why we have to undergo several awakenings, several purging processes in order to quote unquote up level. And they are also stressing that this is just, again, another paradigm we're working with, a concept, because there's actually no hierarchy. And the phrase of up-leveling is always suggesting, excuse me, that there is some form of hierarchy, but there is actually not. Everything in this universe has its place, and it is important to the all of everything. It has to be there. So there is no better or worse. There are just differences, different levels, but there's actually no hierarchy. All right. So anyways, in order to being able to receive the information that is brought to you through this, from this higher frequency, from this, through this network, you first had to up level to a kind of frequency that is able to connect with the place, the frequency where like this source of information is operating at. And I hear this has been done before, like it has been tried before. And now they are bringing me to the story of Babel, to the Tower of Babel. And I'm sure like you probably know it. If not, just go and read it. It's very short. It's Genesis 11, 1-9. And yeah, so humans tried to build a tower that was reaching into the skies. Like it was as high as the skies. And like they were trying to rise up to God, you could say. And God, of course, he realized he didn't like that. He came down, and actually not in order to like put them down, like not to, it's not a power thing. It's not a thing about like hierarchy, like we said. Now they're bringing this back in. It was not about hierarchy. It was more about, okay, you're not ready. You're not ready to do that. So they were trying to become God, basically. But they did that out of the wrong intentions. They did that out of I hear again malintentions. So they were constructing something that they were not able to handle. And I also hear history has a habit of repeating itself. And it's not hard to see that we are at a quite similar point in our evolution as humans again. So what God did was to come down, and in order to prevent that, because it would be too dangerous, and I'm stopping here and I'm finding it interesting that I'm saying he, but that is of course because it is viewed as a patriarchal God. But the pause I felt shows me that you are not in agreement anymore with that, with this perception of God being of the male, quote unquote, gender. This is just a little side note. So, okay, there's something about distractions. Like getting distracted through details, yeah. And of course, also like the thing that God did in that moment is confusing the people by splitting them up in different groups. Because before they all spoke the same language and suddenly they couldn't understand each other anymore. This was happening for their own good because they were not ready. I hear, let's try this again. So humanity is trying another, like they were starting another attempt. And there's something, and I'm always having a hard time to put this in words because it's actually beyond words. It's beyond our language. And because we are lacking the sufficient language to actually put into word what I mean, what I see, I will simply call this a soul network. But please understand that this is not, like I said, sufficient. This is not really what it is, but in lack of better words for it, I'm going to use that term. So there is the soul network that has decided to assist humanity in this very important phase of another attempt of building the Tower of Babel. And you can look at our world and you can see we are very interconnected nowadays. We all speak one language again. I am German. English is not my first language, but I'm speaking in English to you because then you'll understand me. So we came back to a place where we mostly can communicate with each other because we all know the same language. And I experienced they kept the information coming in like really fluently and strong, and now there was suddenly like a cut off. Like it was just stopped. It just stopped. There was just silence, nothing. And they did that to show me that this being cut off from this united experience it was necessary in order to experience what it means to be in the other polarity, in the complete disconnect, in complete separation. Because the universe is here trying to understand itself, to experience itself. And in order to do that, it also needs the experience of the complete opposite of what we are actually trying to come back again, which is unity. And this means we first have to experience the other extreme, complete separation, the nothingness. When we want to communicate in one language, we first have to experience the complete confusion, the complete not being able to communicate. And this can have many different faces. It can mean that you are experiencing complete silence, or you're experiencing a lot of communication, a lot of words being said, but nothing really makes sense. Everything is kind of confusing. There's like this information overload. And this is also something like a hint for somebody to look for those two opposites in their life. Again, like journaling, write it down. Where do you experience complete and utter silence? And where do you experience information overload? A lot of communication coming at you. Okay, so now they are bringing me like to the complete conclusion of this whole message. And that is that the universe and you're actually speaking the same language because you are the universe. You are the network. So you have all the information inside of you. You simply got confused because that was in order to create the experience of confusion, because you had to experience this first in order to get to a place where you could, in a very conscious and in a more evolved way, experience the other extreme, the experience of being connected, the experience of being able to understand and to communicate with the universe. One thing that I didn't know, I got like all the downloads for this message, but I didn't. And like the thing about the confusion, the thing about like being confused. And then I looked into the Bible and I read that the word Babel actually means confusion or being confused. So I hear like the information is already there. It's already in, like everything exists already. We already have all the information that we need. We are just not able to see it. We are just not able to receive it. So we need to learn to speak the language of the universe again. And then we will see that all the information that we need is already there and right at our disposal. I hear no need to ask ChatGPT. You know it yourself. It's a matter of remembering, and it's a matter of training yourself, being able, again, to decipher the messages that are being brought to you in every moment. I'm coming back to the thing that I said. I realize that in my messages, I do talk a lot about how I receive the information and how I interpreted it. This is meant to teach you. This is meant to show you one way of doing that. It doesn't mean that this is your way of doing it. It simply means that you can learn by watching somebody else, learn by observing. And I also get that you are a very observant type. You are not necessarily the one who's always talking. Again, they're both sides of the coin. Some of you are over communicators, and some of you are the more silent, observing type. Now I'm being guided to share like the last point I wrote down before, like the information I got before, is the network always spoke the same language. It still does. But because of the confusion, the single parts don't understand anymore. You are asked to learn this language again, to remember that you already know how to communicate with the universe. So this is our message for today. By the way, the image we have here, I didn't speak about it at all. It doesn't seem necessary. That didn't guide me to it. But I want to mention that it is by Peter Bruegel the Elder. Again, that's interesting. The other message I did about Jonah and the whale, it was also a painting from Peter Bruegel the Elder. And the fact that I've been asked to communicate this, like to say this, to tell you by who this painting is. And there was also something in there in the last message, or in that message, that you should, it was about a museum, about going to museums and being open to what you can learn from this experience. Okay, there's something about, there is especially with those older masters, those from the 16th century, like here, like 16th, 17th century, I hear. They used to hide a lot of meaning behind symbolism. And I think it was actually the son of this Peter Bruegel, I'm not sure, but I think it was his son, there was during a very highly, how do I phrase that? During a time where like all kinds of different religions fought against each other. The 30-year war. And like Catholics against Protestants and all of that stuff. And they would hide their political views in those paintings. And I hear they were hidden in plain sight. So this is something for somebody. And because it came out again, it seems to be important. It seems to be important for somebody to study that. Or maybe it's just confirmation. I don't know. You know. All right. So this is it. I hope it's going to reach you. I hope you find it and you find it helpful. If you feel called to share some of your insights or experiences, I'm happy to hear from you. If not, that's perfectly fine as well. I wish you the best of luck with all of this. It's very exciting. This is an amazing energy, and it just shows how much you've grown and that you are ready for the next level. So how exciting, really. Yeah, I wish you all the best, and hopefully see you in the next video. And until then, take care.